Hello. We're here to talk about the compensation plan. And we're not here to teach the compensation plan. We have other videos for that. But this talk is about why it's even worth learning the compensation plan. Why would you spend your time to watch some videos on boring details of the comp plan? And that's what we're here to talk about, is to really inspire you and to create a vision for what is possible with network marketing, what's possible within Healy. It's an extremely generous, awesome comp plan. Nothing beats the opportunities available in network marketing. And so this is kind of here to inspire you on that. So basically I'm going to start out with an analogy, because to me, this hour you might spend watching comp plan videos is a really powerful hour. It's kind of like, the analogy I'm going to use is if you were going to work in this business, in a social selling company, understanding the comp plan versus not. So I want you to think about if you were opening a savings account and you had $100 a month you were going to save, and at the end of the year you had $1,200, right? But what if somebody said, if you were to spend 1 hour understanding the different options available to you, that instead of putting your $100 in your sock drawer and at the end of the year having $1,200, you could actually put it into a savings account that would make you 200% a year. So at the end of the year, you're going to have $2,400. Exact same amount of effort through the entire year, but if you spend this hour now, you're going to have $2,400 instead of $1,200. Would you do it? Now, what if they said that could make it like 2,000 times? I mean, what percentage more would it take for you to spend an hour? Because that's really what this hour does for you. Another example is like you're building a house and you're going to put in an hour a day to nailing wood together, right? But you're not going to bother to look at the blueprints. You're just going to nail a bunch of wood together. So at the end of the year, you're going to either have just a bunch of pieces of wood nailed together, right? Not really any closer to your dream of a house, or at the end of the year, if you had spent time looking at the blueprint, you would actually have a house that you could move into and your work would kind of be done. And honestly, I do not think that either one of those are outlandish. I could go give you a million analogies, but here's the point of this, that if you do take the time to understand the power of geometric progression, the power of the comp plan, the rewards are astronomical. And this is a totally different set of rules than corporate America. Totally different. In fact, it's almost the opposite. So this is a total unlearning of what you learned if you worked in corporate America. In corporate America, you basically wanted to be the absolute best, right? So no one could do your job. No one could replace you. But in network marketing, if you actually want to use the comp plan to maximize your results, you actually want to do this so simply that you can teach others to do what you do, but even better. So you could see these are two totally different perspectives. And why is it worth doing this? Obviously, we all want to focus on what we love. We want to share Healy. We want to empower others. We want to enrich their lives. We would not be involved with this company if those were not our primary whys. And the more financial freedom you have and that you create, the more time you actually have to do all that stuff. Most of us are not in this for the money, right? And we don't want you to be. We just want you to say that if you're going to spend it, if you do spend this hour, right? It's like somebody saying, you can spend this hour and I'm going to pay you $100, or you can spend this hour doing work and I'm going to pay you $1,000. You choose whichever one you want. I don't know about you, but I'm like, if I'm going to spend the hour and you're willing to pay me $1,000, yeah, pay me $1,000. And that's exactly what maximizing the comp plan will do for you. So let's dive in to some details. And I'm going to talk here from a book called The 4-Year Career to explain the power of residual income. There are many books, there are many videos that if you prefer a different one, fine, go for it, right? We all know there's a million ways to learn the same concept. I just personally learned about this book 5-6 years ago when I first really started in social selling, and I absolutely love this book. And I think it does a fabulous job. It's super short. I'll show you. It's 60 pages, but you can see they're large font, right? And it's not very time consuming to read this. I actually reread almost the whole thing today in a few minutes, just refreshing my mind on how powerful it was. And I love how it doesn't just talk about residual income. It actually explains and helps you understand how social selling, how powerful it is, how amazing it is. It really, for me, turned around so many negative beliefs I had around social selling into this passion for how amazing social selling is for all of us to reach our dreams. So, and he does a great job of doing that. He explains, in order to really be successful, you need to understand three things, right? Understand social selling, understand residual income, then find your why, and we've already done that, right? And then believe it will work for you. And that aspect of believing is what this education on residual income is all about. So we're going to scroll on over here to page 5. Okay. And we're going to talk about the power of compounding, because compounding is to interest as the concept of geometric progression is to network marketing. So what I mean by that is there's a great chart here. Can you see this? And basically what it explains is that if you saved $500 a month, you put it in an account making 7% interest from age 30 to 70, so that's 40 years of only $500 a month, you would end up with $1.3 million at the end of those 40 years. But, and the beauty of that, right, is that is an asset that produces an income. So if you had that $1.3 million and it was continuing to earn 7%, you would earn $84,000 a year after that and never touch that principal. This is a huge concept to understand, because at $1.3 million, you're earning $84,000 a year just off the interest. You could do that forever and ever and never touch that $1.3 million. You could leave that to your kids, and they would earn $84,000 a year, never touching that principal. Okay, but if you waited until you were 40, until you were 50, if you waited and you only had 20 years to do that exact same amount, right? You don't even get close. You get to $260,000. You would have to actually, if you waited till that period, invest $2,500 a month instead of $500 a month to catch up. This concept about interest is important because when we look at network marketing, it's a very similar concept with geometric progression. So we're going to get into that now. And I'm going to scroll on over here to page 26. I just love this part because again, this book is so great because it just is going to cement for you all the things we've been talking about in this program about really listening more than talking, mastering this process of really being genuine and really learning how to share with others. So he kind of cements all that. Okay. I'm going to go back over here. Sorry, I jumped around a little bit on that part. Okay. When I was explaining that about that ending up with 1.3 million, he has this general rule of thumb, and he says the asset value, which was like that 1.3 million, of your network marketing income is about 200 times your monthly income. So here's what that means. If you were making $5,000 a month in residual asset income, right? That's about the same as having an asset worth $1 million. So you can multiply it times 200. So if you were looking to make $10,000 a month in residual income through social selling, that's like having $2 million in the bank. Because if you do that math and you take that number, so if you took that 1 million, you multiplied by, let's say, 6% a year, that's how you end up with your 5,000 a month. That's important to understand because of what we're about to talk about, which is that truly most people spend 40 years in a career so that they can save, so that at the end of 40 years, they hopefully have this asset, right? This 1.3 million or whatever it is in the bank that then they can retire from. But what social selling offers you is the ability within 4 years, not 40, but 4, to create the same income stream as if you had ended up with that 1.3 million in the bank. The choice is yours. 4 years, 40 years. And typically in that 4 years, it's more like a 10 to 20 hour a week concept. This is not a guarantee. I have to say this. There is no guarantees of income, but it is a very achievable goal when you start to understand and that helps to understand what this power of residual income is, why it is so powerful. So how do you do that? This is where we get into geometric progression with network marketing. And this is where we start to understand the power of replicatability. So they give the example in here about what happens if you shared with 4 people and each of those shared with 4 people. This is a different model. It's kind of like you could have, well, let's show you the picture. So if you shared with 4 people, your first generation would have 4 people. Then if each of those 4 people shared with 4 more people, your second generation ends up with 16. Now, if each of those shared with 4, you end up with 64 people. Now, if each of those shared with 4, you end up with 256. The next step is where these numbers start to get a little crazy, a little amazing. And the next generation, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay. The point of this is showing you geometric progression. This is the power of replication. This is the difference between you having to go out and sell 1,000 Healys versus sharing 4 Healys and each of them sharing 4 more. So let me show you this for you. Oh, there we go. It was here. If you look at the 5th generation, all of a sudden you went from 256 to 1,024. And that's when he says right here, this one piece of the puzzle pulls it all together. When you understand this piece, you are likely to get it and start to understand the possibilities of the 4-year career. And what he explains in this next chapter called Momentum is that most people quit right before they're about to reach this ledge, this going over point, okay, this critical mass point. And when you understand, because in the beginning of social selling, you exert the most amount of effort and you enrolling new people and you get the least amount of return. And for some people, if you aren't clear on your why, and if you aren't clear on the power of residual income, you're going to quit. However, if you continue and you're finding your joy and you're living your why, and this is fun instead of it being drudgery, right? This is supposed to be fun and empowering others. And if you can continue reconnecting with that and continue, then you will start to hit a point where he calls it, momentum, where all of a sudden he's like, you're launching your business here. I don't know if you can see this. The first 2 years, you feel like you're pushing and pushing. Then you've got the ball rolling in 2 to 4 years, and this is just an estimate, right? But then you reach critical mass, and all of a sudden it gets really, really easy, and you start seeing the power of this residual income. And it is that low return in the beginning, which is what leads most people to give up. Thankfully, with Healy, it is such a generous compensation plan, and this is a higher ticket item, so there is a very generous direct bonus in the beginning, so we're very blessed with that. But the concept remains the same, and they highlight this with the concept of the penny to really cement this, that if you started to save a penny a day, and if you doubled that penny every day, how much would you end up with? And they show that halfway through the month, doubling that penny is worth $163. Just $163, halfway through the month. But if you realized and you understood this concept of geometric progression and how much this grows, and you keep doubling it, all of a sudden on day 15, you're at $163. At day 20, you're at $5,000. At day 23, you're at $41,000. 25, you're at $167,000. At day 28, you're at $1.3 million, and at day 30, you're at $5.3 million. So you just went from $163 at day 15 to $5.3 million on day 30 by doubling. And that's exactly what geometric progression offers. And the whole point of this, right, is about replication. So if you are this is why all of this is coming together. That if you are understanding, that if you are not just sharing Healys, but if you are truly helping the people you share with understand that they can also share. Not everyone's going to share with 4 people, but if they are sharing with 1 or 2, etc., that is what creates this residual income stream. And when you understand the comp plan, then you will see within Healy all those different ways of residual income, and that will make complete sense to you that it is possible after you have shared, you could completely stop sharing Healy. I mean, we're never going to do that because we love it, right? It's like you can't help yourself. But in theory, you could completely stop and still continue to receive this residual income. And that is what makes social selling so powerful. Instead of these companies paying this money out to CEOs, millions and millions of dollars, paying it out to advertising companies, they're paying it all back to those who share and love the product. It's genius. And I actually, because I'm a major dork, did this spreadsheet trying to really understand with our comp plan, what are the possibilities? And I'm not going to show you this spreadsheet because it's complicated even for myself as I'm looking at this. But basically, I just ran a scenario and said, what if you shared Healy with 4 people your first month? And then your second month, what if you shared Healy with 4 more people? And never again sold a Healy. And what if 3 of those people each month just used it personally and never shared it? But what if 1 of those people each month did the same thing you did? So 1 of those 4 people actually shared Healy with 4 other people. And then the second month, the same thing happened. That seems pretty reasonable, right? If you do that, because of the power of geometric progression, you would end up, again, and this is just utilizing the first 2 types of compensation, direct bonus, or 3, direct bonus, dual bonus, and matching bonus, not even looking at the other types. You would end up making $39,000 your first year. That's pretty phenomenal to have shared 8 Healys, right? Because that involves helping that 1 other person share with 4 others. That seems pretty reasonable and easy to do. If you start looking at the matching, that was just direct and dual bonus. If you start adding in the matching bonus, that goes to $51,000 a year. That's the first year. But then you start looking at second year. Now you're up to second year over $70,000 a year. But again, remember, this is just 8 Healys in the beginning. So there is so much potential with this if you really learn how to replicate and help others share. I did the same thing and looked at the true potential with social selling is in the monthly subscriptions, and we're so grateful that they are really looking at all these upcoming programs with stem cell regeneration and pets and all of these things that are going to be offered that are going to have subscriptions instead of a one-time fee. Right now, I just looked at the digital nutrition app, which I am so excited about. I mean, to be able to know what nutrition to use, to each month, like, it blows my mind. If you add in the digital nutrition app for only half of the members, all of a sudden you went from the $39,000 a year to $62,000 a year. It's phenomenal what these numbers do when you start looking at that. And when you start looking at year 2 with those people on digital nutrition app, you're over $100,000 in income. This is from 8 Healys. So there are no guarantees. Of course, there's assumptions in this, right? That those people are going to do the same, and then they're going to do the same, and theirs going to do the same. But this is also not even counting what if 2 of those people did that? What if someone went out and sold way more than 8 Healys, right? So the concept is that residual income is very powerful. And when you understand the comp plan, when you take this hour to understand how to structure your left leg and your right leg to maximize it, then instead of just simply having access to direct bonus from each of your sales, you open yourself up to be able to receive the bonuses types 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 that are offered by Healy, which are truly phenomenal. So you might as well spend that time. Understand those. You don't have to be an expert. Just understand them so that you can structure properly from the beginning and teach your team how to do the same thing so that you can truly maximize this. The potential is amazing. And I'm just going to close with a quote he says right here at the end. when he's talking about what to look for in a network marketing company. And I think it's really amazing when you look at his 4 top pieces of advice, right? The product, our product is amazing, nothing else like it. The company, again, look at our company and look at the leaders in our company and their authenticity and their heart and their intelligence and their motivation, their consciousness. 3, look at your upline. Who's above you supporting you? And we have a phenomenal upline. It's just amazing the groups we're in, their leadership, their passion. And number 4, follow your intuition. He says, when you find a company to call home, build your empire. Don't be deterred by challenges and setbacks, even dumb mistakes your company may make. Stick with them through thick and thin. Your life and the lives of thousands may be enriched. The world is waiting. I love that. So highly recommend, if this was a little too fast or you're not quite certain what I was talking about, love this book. You can find it on Amazon. It's like $6 to get the audio version of this. You can spend less than $10 and download it on your Kindle and have it right now. Or of course you can get the physical copy, right? And truly understand the power that residual income, the choice is yours, which career path you want to go down. And then once you are inspired, go watch the compensation plan videos. It's not rocket science. You just watch them. If you don't get it, watch it again. It'll sink in. Talk to your upline, ask questions, get help, and just structure it to maximize that income. You might as well maximize the potential that's there with the same amount of work.